Is the new era authentic Doctor Who? Well, that is the question. Firstly, I got to feel somewhat bad for Shooty and Millie. Look, for me, he had tons of charisma, like tons and tons and tons of charisma. Here, I forgot to convert it before the show. I'll do it right now. But I say, for me, he had tons and tons and tons of charisma. I think, and authority. Right? He was able to sell to me he was the Doctor. I understand he had a very different type of accent than Doctor has been before. Right? But a few things. One, I think if second convert right. I think a few. One, if we didn't have the weight of those specials on its shoulders, it would have been much better received. Right? I think if they just went in with this, it would have been much better received. By the way, I don't like this new TARDIS at all. It's just pointlessly and ridiculously big. I mean, I really do think it's pointlessly and ridiculous. Like, even the console, it's all just too big. And for what? Like, this was that giant engineering feat. Nobody gives a shit. I mean, just like, you could have. It could have been much. It could have been much better. It could have been much simpler. And it's not that great. I mean, I understand you got the LED lights going in behind, and you like those things. Very good. Honestly, give me the season 20 console room. I'm happy with that. Anyway, but he sold to me he was a Doctor. And at the same time, he's a masturbatory fantasy for gay people. I mean, like, that's the other thing. He is very obviously there for gay people to be able to glop off onto, which in the same way Nicola Bryant was there for me to glop off to. So, fair dues, I guess, right? How do I feel about that? I don't know. It's a bit weird. It's a bit creepy. It's a bit weird. It's a bit creepy. That's how I feel about that. But he is still authoritatively the Doctor, right? As long as you don't mind the thought of your gay friends, glopping off to him, which they are going to be doing, right? Because like, even the scene with the policeman was a gay fantasy, right? Where the Doctor now will take you into the TARDIS and bend you over and gently, open up that flower to teach you the love that dare not speak its name, lovingly and painfully and quite gruffly. But that being said, he's still authoritatively the Doctor to me. All right, that's how he came up to me. And Millie, I thought, was very, very good as the companion. I think she's a good actress. I think she's got a great career ahead of her. I think she looks fantastic. And I thought she was great in this, right? And I thought their chemistry was electric, right? Off the charts good, right? That first scene where they really first start talking, where they got Shooty running over the roofs and jumping over the chimneys, that all works, right? For me, I think that's really, again, pure Doctor companion stuff. So what it looks like they've done. So, but my first thought is, what it looks like they've done is they pared down Doctor Who to what its absolute raw essentials are, which is a dashing romantic hero, science hero that's unconventional hero in a time-space machine called the TARDIS, and his bestest friend ever having fun and adventures. Right, that is the essence of Doctor Who. And then what does that look like in today's TV landscape? I think they actively loosened up the laws of canon, the whole the law of the universe, to make it essentially that how they dealt with like the destruction of the timeline to Jodie Whittaker without like erasing that necessarily. It's essentially your headcanon is law, because look, if it's a soap and it happened 6 months ago or a year ago, it didn't happen. Like, nobody remembers, nobody cares, right? So I think the adherence to law in this new version of Doctor Who is much less, much less, and I think it's definitely a different beast. You could view it as being the same show as it's a different show. You could view it as being the same character as William Hartnell. I could view it as being the same character as William Hartnell, as Tom Baker anyway. Right? I could certainly view it as being the same character, but it's a different show. Right? It's a difference between The Likely Lads and Whatever Happens to the Likely Lads. This is a sequel series to Doctor Who called Doctor Who. All right. But my major thoughts are, firstly, if it didn't come off those specials, it would have been much, much better received. Right? Really much, much, much better received. I think the specials were lackluster in many, many, many ways. I thought they were, they open up with like the uber wokeness of Star Beast. And we're going to get more of that, right? We're definitely getting more of the trans stuff, which is a huge mistake. The only bit that really failed, I felt, in the Church on Ruby Road was suddenly you got this bloke wearing tights and makeup in a dress singing. And I was like, what's going on? Yeah, and it's from this I realized that visibility isn't the key to the acceptance of the trans world. It's the opposite, because once you have people see what the trans world is, people are like, well, that's gross, leave me alone with it. Because people do have that reaction. You never got that reaction from seeing two men hold hands, two men kissing, yeah. But once you got past the two men holding hands thing, or two women holding hands, that was really the leap, right? Once you got to see people as human beings who were gay, that was the leap, and that's how gay people became mainstream, essentially, right? And it just seemed weird not to have gay, not to go, oh, you're gay. It's like saying, oh, you have red hair. Nobody cares, right? Nobody cares. But the opposite is true with the trans world. When people see it and go, well, that just feels wrong and uneasy. I feel kind of like grossed out by it. And I don't think it's because of like any. I don't think it's because of social conditioning. I think this is a natural response. And I'm not advocating hurting anyone. I'm just saying the approach of having greater visibility hasn't been helping the trans world. Equally, look, Russell, if you want to have a conversation, I keep saying, if you want to have a conversation about this, that's great. I would love that. I would love you to have a conversation about these things. But the first question is, how do you know you're right? How do you know Yasmin Finney isn't really mentally ill and you're not encouraging mental illness to a generation of children? I mean, how do you know that? And when you ask that, you go, how dare you, sir? Oh, no, it's a real question. How the fuck do you know? How do you know? Because you seem pretty damn sure about it. How do you know? I don't know how you know, right? I don't know how you know, but you seem convinced. It shouldn't be a problem. If you're so convinced, just tell me why. Yeah, but they can't, and they won't, right? They won't have that conversation. And then we got the additional conversation of what do we do with women who don't want women with penises in their space or in their sports? Very reasonable, right? There's a lot to discuss, and I think the reason that you're shouted into silence is because there's no good answers to these questions. And again, I'm not being cruel. I'm not being mean to anyone. I'm saying, how do you know that you're right? How do you know to the extent that you're willing to have me gamble my children's futures on it? No, you don't just say, how dare you ask the question? Ask the fucking question. Listen, if somebody says to me, how do you know Jews aren't genetically inferior? Well, I could answer that question even though I found it offensive, right? I could answer that. I could answer that question if I had to. I would. Which is the Nazi worldview. But yeah. So how do you know, right? But again, that's not a conversation I think Russell Davis wants to have. He just wants to try and tell us that no, this is the only way to be. Otherwise, you're a bigot. No, that's not true. Don't ask me to gamble my children's futures on your theory that sounds completely bollocks to me, right? Completely, totally bollocks. The great Doctor Who, Found and Survived. This is me and Mega Geek going, Sorry, got a message. Mega Geek not liking it. Me going, well, yeah. Again, in terms of what was presented to me on the screen, it was all totally acceptable Doctor Who to me. Well, again, but it's weird. It's not the same show as the show that did Caves of Androzani, Tomb of Cybermen. It's not the same show, right? Would I say that the 2005 to 17 show was the same show? No, actually, no. It's a sequel show. So this is the third sequel show. They've all had the same names. Or second sequel, I guess. My name's Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet! Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you are notified when new videos drop.